As you remember, Windows XP Service Pack 2 was the first time we saw a firewall added to the Windows operating system. The firewall in Windows XP Service Pack 2 is fairly simple and provides only inbound protection. It can either be enabled or disabled by using the Windows Firewall Control Panel app. The Windows XP SP2 firewall also allowed for exceptions, but these port or program exceptions were again only for inbound connections. With the release of Windows Vista and Windows Server 2008, the Windows Firewall received a total makeover. Not only is the standard Windows Firewall still available, but a more advanced firewall that provides both inbound and outbound protection has been added. We can manage and maintain the advanced firewall of Windows Vista and Server 2008 through the Advanced Firewall MMC console. To help manage and maintain this new firewall, many new group policy settings have been added to Windows Vista and Windows Server 2008. The easiest and most recommended way of managing and maintaining your Windows Firewall and Advanced Firewall is through the use of group policies. The new policies allow an administrator to configure new rules based on specific ports, specific programs, or predefined rules. These rules can be applied to both inbound and outbound traffic. Network administrators in many domain environments might use outbound rules as a way of blocking the use of specific programs, such as instant messaging or file sharing programs. But have in mind, the best way to block this sort of traffic is to stop the software from being installed in the first place, or stop this traffic on your corporate firewall. Windows Firewall with Advanced Security can be used with Windows Vista and Windows Server 2008 hosts to create connection security rules that secure traffic between specific hosts only. We accomplish that by using something we call IPsec. This method of security is called isolation. Using Windows Firewall with Advanced Security, we can create two types of isolation: domain isolation and server isolation. As you see here, we have an example of domain isolation. With the use of an Active Directory domain and the Windows Firewall with Advanced Security, a system administrator can enforce a policy that forces computers that are a member of the domain to only accept incoming communication requests from other computers that are a member of the same domain only. When enforced, computers that are members of the domain are isolated from computers that are not a member of the domain. It is important to remember that in domain isolation scenarios, isolated computers can initiate communication with hosts outside the domain, such as web servers on the internet. However, they will not respond when network communication is initiated from hosts that are outside of the domain. Server isolation is another method of security using Windows Server 2008's advanced firewall settings. Server isolation works in a similar fashion to domain isolation, with the exception that instead of applying to all computers within a domain, a server isolation policy is applied only to a specific set of servers in a domain. A network administrator can accomplish this by placing the computer accounts of the servers that will be isolated in a specific OU and then linking a GPO that has an appropriately configured connection security rule to that OU. When enforced, only computers that are a member of the domain are able to communicate with the servers that are isolated. This can be an effective way of protecting servers when you must grant network access to untrusted or non-domain members in your environment. These untrusted computers are able to access some network resources, such as websites and DNS servers. But with the use of server isolation policies, you can isolate specific network resources, such as file servers, databases, and domain controllers. In summary, with the new advances in the Windows Firewall for Windows Server 2008, we can better manage and maintain the security of our servers and desktops, with both inbound and outbound rules. Additionally, we can take advantage of isolation policies, such as a server isolation, to limit connectivity between our servers and only trusted computers that are a member of our Active Directory domain, to protect and safeguard our internal resources when we must have an untrusted computer in our protected network.